about the youth climate strikes and Extinction Rebellion because they have been so key in what's been an epic few weeks and really does seem to have shifted. Is that a tipping point? And I know you've been so heartened by it. Tell us a little bit more about what it is that's giving you hope. I mean, I think you can see that tonight, but...
Well, I have to say, when I went to the first schools climate strike, the local school children had asked me to come along and speak at it. I cried. It was so moving. It was so inspiring to see in my home city a couple of thousand children coming out with these beautiful banners, some of them very funny.
Yeah. Great humour, really good humour on the placards.
Amazing, yeah. Super well informed and some amazing articulate speakers. And I just thought, this is it. I'm seeing change happen in front of my eyes. And the incredible presence of Greta Thunberg, who is, like our Joan of Arc, she's really changing things big time. And what it says to me is that change comes from the most unexpected places. Who would have thought a 15-year-old Swedish schoolgirl was going to swing this?
Totally.
It's just amazing, isn't it? And so, and this reinforces my feeling that despair is never an appropriate response. It's never an appropriate response because you simply don't know what's around the corner. Yeah. And there have been many bleak years where it just seems, oh my God, we're not going to do anything. We're just trapped in this. People aren't going to change. And then suddenly things happen. I mean, politics proceeds by punctuated equilibria, long periods of stasis followed by sudden rupture. And at the moment, we're in a period of sudden rupture, as the news this evening shows, and anything could happen. And we've indulged ourselves in despair very often in this country. Now, despair leads to inaction. And the Christians are right about this. Despair is a sin. Because we can afford not to act, because we're in a very rich country. We're buffered, we're in a temperate country, but our inaction condemns other people to destitution and death. Our inaction forces other people to act, leaving their homes, getting involved in a civil war, whatever it might be, driven by climate breakdown. We can afford not to act, they cannot. And so, there've been a lot of people saying, we have to embrace despair, we have to accept despair, we just have to recognise it, the situation for what it is and recognise there's no hope. Well, number one, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say there's no hope, there is no hope. But number two, it's all very well for us to say that, but actually it's not us whose lives are most immediately on the line. It is the poor of the world who get hit first and who get hit worst. But number three, you can't say there is no hope because you cannot see the future. You cannot see what is coming. And the incredible thing that the youth climate strikes and Extinction Rebellion have unleashed was completely unpredicted by everybody. It took me by surprise, and I like to have my ear to the ground on these things. I could see what they were doing, and I really hoped that it was going to turn into something really big. But my hopes have been raised so many times and dashed so many times that I didn't expect it. Yeah. But it happened.
And I think with Greta in particular, from her, it came very quickly from grief into action. It's like she bypassed. Despair was just like not on her radar, and straight into rage. And like with Extinction Rebellion, it's love and rage. It's action. But I think despair, is something that we come close to. It's something.
Grief is fine. Grief is all right. Grief is totally understandable and acceptable. And getting down about it is totally understandable and acceptable. Being depressed about it is, but that's not the same as despair. Despair is something different. Despair is giving up. Despair is the flip side of denial. It has exactly the same impact. And in fact, I've been struck by the number of people who have gone straight from denial to despair without anything in between, where it starts off where they say, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening, and then they say, okay, it is happening, but it's too late to do anything about it. And not for one moment in between did they say, it's happening and therefore we ought to act. Despair's a cop-out. just like denial. It's a get-out clause. It's to tell yourself you've got no agency. But my God, we have got agency. If a 15-year-old schoolgirl's got agency, we have got agency.
Yeah.